Are there any safety considerations or cautions for people to try neurofeedback?
Sure. So if you suffer really, really bad migraines, then the screen shrinking in and out would be a concern. So you can turn that feedback off, and then they don't get that. So that's really good. Similarly with epilepsy, again, because of the stimulation of the screen shrinking, going in and out, and going black and white, that is also but again, you can turn that off, so they wouldn't need to get that stimulus, which is great. And as you know, in concussion, key area of focus for me, but that we're really careful as you're bringing the person back into seeing how quickly, or our aim is to see how quickly we can help them get back into sport and back into play using neurofeedback. So again, obviously you have to be careful. So people are already dizzy, nauseous, and so again, you turn off stimulation for them.
Obviously, your thesis is based on concussion in riders, and we were discussing this earlier on, and I can say I've definitely been irresponsible about brain injury. What are some of the considerations for riders having had a concussion that they need to be aware of, Nat?
Symptoms, always just symptoms. So if the symptoms increase, if anything changes, that's important for them to go back to their medical doctor. And I'm not a medical doctor, and it's very important for them to go back to their doctor, particularly if they can go back to the original doctor that they saw at time of emergency. Sometimes that's not always the emergency doctor. But very important for them to monitor their signs and symptoms as they go. So some of these things, but sometimes concussion only, the main effect of it sometimes is progressive. It's later, so it only comes up a little bit later.
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so always they need to be a little bit more aware of what's going on. So they need to be aware of light sensitivity, nausea, headaches, neck pain, all those things that are normal. So you can Google all the different symptoms. And sometimes people do that too much.
Dr. Google. I have a brain tumor. That's great.
Exactly. And these things are often difficult to diagnose anyway, even at that level. So generally, when you go in for concussion, the doctor will speak to you. If you need to, you go and see, obviously, a neurologist or a neuropsychologist as well. And what they would do is then ask you a series of questions. And obviously, you would have already had a full workup in the emergency room. Or even just with your doctor. So they'll be checking things like reflexes, your eyes, all of that. And so it's very important for the person to monitor themselves and monitor how they're feeling. Tiredness is often another one that people complain about a lot. So I would say, Georgie, honestly, self-monitoring. Why aren't we better at regulating it? There are numerous factors that are involved in that. And a lot of them, I have to say, come down to the individual rider and the individual
insistence of getting back on.
So some of this is a little bit of a legacy, that the legacy of riding. So it's kind of like, if you don't get on now, you're going to be too scared to get on again. So a lot of that, and there's probably really good sentiment in that. But most of us, I think, are really aware, and most coaches, definitely that I've seen, if somebody falls off, they at least are you okay? Are you, can you dizzy? Or, so there's a few fundamental things that they tend to look at. But a lot of our shows, as you know, have medical people there, which is fantastic. So medical personnel on hand to help them. But I would say definitely monitor. If you know you've had a concussion, monitor everything.
Is there any monitoring that people can do on a daily basis? Just not concussion related. I'm just talking about to assess our own mental health and wellness. What are some of the key markers to be aware of?
Yeah, so that's a great question. Thank you, Georgie.
So I think
people need to be aware. They need to be really aware of their concentration span, their focus, their ability to focus, how often they get distracted. They really need to become a little bit more aware of the things that we take completely for granted and happen at an unconscious level. A lot of these things are key markers and key indicators for our own energy levels, physiological, psychological, emotional. And they also help us understand stress as well. And it's not for a want of not trying, I believe. I think we don't know, because all these things happen unconsciously for us. So I would say awareness of how you feel, how you act, how you react to situations is very important. So whether you do neurofeedback or not, it's really good to kind of turn the microscope in and really just wonder about self, become a little bit more attentive of, how good I am in these things. How long can I concentrate for? Or if I do this, do I improve my mental performance? Or if I'm at school and I read more, how much does that improve my ability to comprehend comprehend what the teacher's saying. Reading is vitally important for
personal goals almost.
Exactly. So really, I would say we would need to be a little bit, or become a little bit more aware of our own thinking.